There was a way I could describe what watching Atri this week felt like. It felt like just a big emotional cock tease, if I'm being completely honest, because oh my god, they pull on your strings so hard in this episode. Episode 11, Atri actually starts pretty normally with how all the episodes have started, with Natsuki and Atri just having a normal morning. There is a conversation they have where Natsuki tries to, but again, more shenanigans end up happening. But for the most part, it does feel like after all the events that happen, we feel like we're going back to the status quo. But even though I say that, Natsuki actually has an announcement for the rest of the school saying that he's actually going to go back to the mainland to go back to study. Not for going back into space like he originally planned, but now he wants to go back to the academy to try to learn about humanoids and the relationship between them and humans and how they can better them for that. And it's obvious he's doing that because of Atari. And honestly, from what we've seen from him in the beginning of the series to what we see now, it's really nice to see the impact that Atari and everything else that happened and seeing him grow from that. It almost feels like we are watching a completely different Natsuki from the beginning. Which again is also the point of the entire thing. The whole show is about growth. It's about, getting over the trauma that you have and moving forward, which is good. Atari also decided that she was going to go with Natsuki to the mainland. However, when Natsuki brings up Atari seems like she's dozing off. This is actually very canonical to what happened in the last episode as we see her pass out, almost seeming like she's tired. And even earlier on, a bit before the whole announcement happens, she explains that Natsuki was keeping her up to the kids, insinuating inappropriate things. But obviously there's something deeper that is happening because we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And this also kind of happens very sparsely as we see Natsuki interact with everyone he's had so far. And he's not necessarily saying his farewells and stuff like that, but he's basically getting all of his affairs in order. Ryui is currently going to take care of the shop along with Momoko and whatever the blonde girl's name is. And he's starting to clear out space for his boat. And throughout all this, Atri seems to space out more and more and more. My worry was that maybe some of the old emotions were coming back in like a very bad way, but it actually is potentially far more worse than that. And we kind of get the beginning of that where Natsuki, after cleaning out everything, see that he has a can of bread that he's trying to eat. Atari doesn't want him to eat that, trying to make something more nutritious, and even though she says, her catchphrase of, I'm very high performance, it doesn't work out, and Natsuki just ends up eating the canned bread. From there, it also leads to Atari wanting the discussion of trying to get closer with Natsuki. Natsuki saying that we should get close, and even though Atari talked to Catherine about the things that she should do, it seems like Natsuki is now understanding more and more about emotion, so much so that she is trying to get more comfortable and get closer with Natsuki in that type of way. However, when that happens, obviously, Atari freaks out and damn near almost suffocates Natsuki, almost killing the man. He is fine, though. After that, Natsuki is saying his own goodbyes, saying goodbye to his submarine. Now that Ryu is going to be taking care of the salvage thing, he's going to be giving his submarine to Ryu, and he's saying his thanks. Atari says that the submarine's also saying her thanks, so I think it's just more of a playful thing. And they're both talking about how they're going to go into the mainland and how they're going to do a lot of things together. That is until Atari she hasn't officially shut down, but she officially starts getting into like a power saving mode, which makes her unresponsive. And this, I'm not gonna lie, this genuinely hurt me to watch because the first time you see her fully get into like the long-term state of being in a low power mode, you see a single tear fall for her eye, and that hurt because that was her last semblance of her kind of understanding what's going on. But her being like, I'm not going to be here for much longer, thus starts the cock teasing that this fucking show does. So, understandably, Natsuki is completely panicking, not really understanding what's going on, and once he finds his manual, which I don't know why he just has the Atari manual sitting around, but once he finds Atari's manual, he understands that she's currently in like a power saving mode, where she can't really communicate, but she's still alive in there. There's still something that is there before she actually goes. Unfortunately, there's no real way to charge it by yourself without going to proper maintenance. So that's why he's really stuck in in a really hard place. He eventually talks to everyone about the situation, and they're trying to understand anything that they can do, but obviously they're gonna have to try really hard. And this is one of the scenes that actually almost got me because it really fucking hurt to see, for being honest, where Atri actually wakes up and goes to the school, realizing that Natsuki and everyone else is there. And she's not aware of anything that happened before. And so she's sitting there being like, how are you not going to wake me up to go to school? Why are you, like, abandoning me? But then she starts going into her power saving mode. And so she's freaking out because she's not completely understanding what's happening, because she's barely able to see anything. She's freaking out. She's calling for Natsuki, and even Natsuki's telling her to just go into sleep mode for now, and that's an order. And it was really painful to see, because you see somebody basically slowly dying and not understanding that they're dying. It was really hard, and it almost got me, but I did not cry. It almost got me, but I did not cry. So from there, everyone is trying to find out some solution, right? Rui, Momori, Catherine, everybody, including the kids, are all trying to figure out something to save Atri. And honestly, all of them are kind of coming up with no ideas. There is something that they see where the kids are all looking at like a sort of paper, and they find like a thing called Project Eden. That will come up later in the show. So Natsuki does what he does best and decides to dive into the ocean to try to retrieve her pod. Now, admittedly, I thought something more serious was going to happen here, either his arms getting broken in the sense of the submarine arms, or something getting stuck, kind of the same as it happened in season 1. But no, they do successfully rescue the pod and put Atri in that pod, which does recharge her to full battery. Or at the very least, I assume it's full battery. They do a visual thing where the pod is charging it like it would be a full battery charge, but for all I know, that could be very misleading or some form of red herring. But luckily, Atri does wake up, getting another scare, thinking that I was scared that she was not going to remember anybody, but she does remember Natsuki and everything. But not only does she still remember Natsuki and everybody, she also remembers the final order that was given from Natsuki's mother, and that has to do with Project Eden. The same Project Eden that the kids were looking up, so we do have possibly some information, but I assume that the next couple of episodes, either for the last episode or last 2 episodes, are going to have to do with that final order and finally outseeing Project Eden. Which also, giving story cue stuff-wise, might actually have to do with a lot of stuff that's happening on the mainland, so their goal might actually have to do in the mainland, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we see them find out what Project Eden is, and go ahead and go to the mainland, and then we get a time skip of things happening. Yeah, if I'm going to be honest, Atri has been a show that has very so often teased the possibility of something bad happening, and while there have been bad things happening, Mr. Yamada going after Atari and beating the ever-living shit out of her was bad. There hasn't been anything that's been like super, super tragic, because they did bounce back from that pretty quickly and bounce back from Atari's own emotional thing, having to find out everything about Sheena again. And so I'm wondering if this show is going to have more of a happy ending, or if this is going to lead to some sacrifice by Atari. I'm not 100% sure, but I wouldn't put this past this show. But yeah, at least in terms of this episode was really good. It really caught my attention throughout the whole thing, and then the whole kind of like perilous not understanding thing really well. And so I honestly would have to give it nothing more than an 8 out of 10.